Good day again. Be mindful leaders or wannabe leaders. So I'm glad you're back here on the channel again. Thought I'd do another video outdoors here since it's beautiful, a little windy, and I'm close to 8 Airport. So no one's guessed the location I'm staying at yet, so keep the guesses coming. I wanted to talk a little bit about about the soft skills a bit, because I think all too often we can be transactional in our management. You can manage things, you can be a good project manager, you could get along with people, but when you want to go to the next level, into more of a leadership role and step away from the the individual contributor level, there's a few things I think that you could keep in mind or work on and continue to work on. And I'm still continuing to work on that. and I'm not in the day-to-day drama anymore. But so here, emotional intelligence, right? So IQ, or EQ, I should say. So I came up with a few points that are floating around, but wanted to kind of structure it a bit. So, please stick with me on this, because these EQ topics or items that I have, not only you can practice in your day-to-day, but, carry on to your career. So, and I think that is what really those are the things that kind of separate you from the rest, to help with your growth, whatever that may be, vertical or horizontal, within your set career. So the first is self-awareness, and not don't underestimate self-awareness, because it takes you to be humble. It takes you to be vulnerable and understand, and kind of almost step out of yourself on the things you're doing. Self-improvement, reflecting is a big thing. You got to reflect on what went well and what needs to be improved on for yourself. So that's kind of the self-awareness part. And you're constantly reevaluating things and looking at different ways, and it's a never-ending thing, right? It's to refine your self-awareness. And you shouldn't look at it beating yourself up, right? This is not about creating where you're hostage to your own mind and you can't step out of your comfort zone. It's just being aware, right, and growing. So that would be the first one. And then along with that, in order, it kind of goes hand in hand, is empathy. So empathy, you all know what empathy is, but I think it's more around a deeper level of listening and understanding people, and this is key. And it takes time to build up a relationship with your team or peers, but actively listening, asking questions, being part of being in the here and now. And it's difficult at times, because it's very difficult and things are fast-paced. In the software development that I was involved in Silicon Valley, you never stood still, right? You were always moving, and you played many different roles. So I've learned a lot from that, and I also learned that I had to slow down and take a few minutes to have those interactions, those meaningful interactions with people. And so that takes a bit of discipline and practice there, okay? So the next one is self-regulation. And this is one that, what I talk about in the moment, and you're moving and you're working hard, and you're kind of focused on your own thing, right? And it's hard sometimes not to be reactionary, to slow down, not make rash decisions on the spot, to take a moment, breathe, and think things through. And this is your progression into leadership is to get out of the reactionary, because the decisions you make do reflect on you, your team, your peers, and your ability to be respected for your opinion and follow through and delivery, right? So just work on the self-regulation part of it, and that just comes with time and confidence, and and then also being socially aware. And I think when you're discussing and listening and active listening with people, because of different diversities, different cultures, you always need to be aware of how you're being perceived, or picking up on nonverbal cues with people or the situations. And this, I found to be true, very true in meetings where there's a lot going on besides the people talking. Who's talking next? Is someone talking over someone? Is someone looking at you as someone else is talking? So there's this unwritten or nonverbal sort of feel in the room. And you've probably experienced that, or if you're new, then, that's something. And I also learned that as a new manager, this is interesting, as a new manager coming, or a manager or director, senior director level, coming into a new organization, is to remember to active listen more than talk. Now, you're going to be expected, I guess, to introduce yourself and so forth, and talk about yourself. That's one thing. But, being socially aware of your surroundings, being aware of your active listening skills, so that you should be taking stuff in like a sponge, so that you can then come and effectively hit the ground running. And the more you're talking, the less you're listening. So I think that's an important thing in there. And then motivation. You have to, at times, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. And you have to have motivation to keep you and your team moving forward, right? To also pick people up and bring them with you. And that's a sign of a pure leader, right? As a natural leader, is that they're picking everyone up together and moving them forward. So even if you don't have a personal motivation for what's going on, and it's challenging for you, you have to be perceived as bulletproof, right? With vulnerability, right? With knowing, hey guys and gals, this is difficult. I understand. I'm even struggling too. But you know what? We're going to get through this together, and we're going to mix things up a bit. We're going to have, you working on this, you working on that, and then, we'll report back here in an hour and see what's going on, right? So be in the moment be as invested emotionally in this as possible, so that you're showing motivation, but you're also showing energy to move things forward, to be able to dust your shoulders off and move forward with your team. I think that's important, because everyone has challenges. And so this is also the social awareness, is understanding where people are at, right? Because there's stressors in work and out of work for everyone in your team or people you work with, your peers. And if you take that moment to be aware and notice that someone's struggling, it's not getting nosy in their business, but just be there and say, hey, you okay? Can I get you a coffee or something like that, right? That small break there gets them to recenter themselves and know that someone is paying attention, right? So I hope that makes sense. I think that these are all things that take takes time to perfect, and perfection isn't an end goal here. It's about just being a better leader, better manager, a better director, a better fellow coworker, and that takes reflection and takes you to want to make change. And you'll be able to see, or have seen through your career, the people that are, good or mediocre, people that rise above. And sometimes it's hard to put a label or try to describe what it is that makes a great leader, but it takes emotional intelligence and all these key things that are very subtle and are very impactful and meaningful. So please try some of these things, and let me know if you have any tricks of the trade that you've learned or struggles that you can't get over that, and I'd be more than willing to comment and discuss that. So, and the last point is conflict resolution, and this is one where I talked about in my other video, and you can go watch my other video on this, but it's really about not creating favoritism, because that can come and bite you when it comes to conflict resolution. And it's not a matter of whether you believe it or not. It's, the people maybe that are having conflicts and you're taking sides and so forth. So conflict resolution is how you can intelligently listen, take in the information from more or one or more parties that are involved in whatever the conflict is, and take in a moment, again, self-regulate, and even if that means go away, but come back with a definitive actions to be taken in a calm, non-biased way, right, as a leader. And this is key. Now, it's not going to be agreeable to everyone, whatever your decision is. And in the end, you might reflect and say, I could have handled that better, or I would have made a different decision. But once you've made a decision, at least in the short term, you should see how that goes through, right? And there's nothing wrong with if you say, okay, these are the actions we're going to take now. You might not know a week or even a day from there. But the thing is to deflate the conflict and have some actionable items that the parties can work on. Or that they can come back to you and say, give you more information. And I won't get into necessarily details on this, but just the overall sentiment is, actively listen, take in the information, make a solid, in the moment, sort of immediate actions to be taken. And a lot of these should be looked at as, what are the company policies? What is the culture you've created or is the culture of the company? And that should resonate through your decisions, right? Now, again, there's all kinds of conflicts. There could be a small one, a larger one that involves HR. But, if you have something in mind, share it in the comments. And we can talk through that, or you can describe what you did and whether it worked or not. And yeah, so I think the main thing here is to deflate the conflict, you as the leader or you as the intermediary, come up with immediate actions, and make sure that it doesn't affect or derail the rest of your team also, right? Because some people like getting in the drama, and some people get very thrown off by conflict, and then they're, they sort of in a different world all day, right? So main thing is not to derail your momentum as a team, address it, and you're going to have to live with it in the short term. If it needs to change or alter, that's where you can go back to one or either party and say, listen, given what we've, where we are now, I'd like to move in this direction, or I'd like to continue this for another week or so, whatever it is. So you're more than entitled to make changes and alterations, right? Based on the information that comes in. Your main thing is to address the conflict, nip it in the butt. The last thing you want to do is ignore it, okay? And I can, I'll probably go into another video about ignoring and just not a good thing, okay? And it doesn't mean you hyper vigilant on pounce on everything, right? Some things within the team is depending on how mature your team is and how well they work together. Sometimes letting them work it out amongst themselves, if you're a director level or above, is the best thing. Not having mom or pop come in and have to settle it for you. But that's the individual circumstance, right? You have to kind of understand that you can't let things escalate, and you have to let it known that and do what you think is right. But ignoring is not an option. Ignoring is an answer. It's an answer of deferral, deference, not dealing with it, and you will lose more respect within your team and others that have seen this, and it's going to take a bit for you to get that back. So do not ignore, and that's why what I do is try to give feedback along the way. I don't wait for reviews. There should be no surprises when it comes time to review time. So I think I've talked enough about conflict resolution, but again, I hope you found that interesting and worth discussing more. If you'd like to dive into other things on these skills of emotional intelligence, then reach out to me and I can do a follow-up video. So self-awareness, empathy, self-regulation, social awareness, motivation, and conflict resolution. So enjoy your day and stop by again and see you then. Bye for now.